Canadian rapper Drake has just dropped his highly anticipated album with a couple surprises. Drake held a live stream event late Thursday to unveil the Iceman album, with the cover showing only a hand wearing a sequined glove. Then at the end of the live stream, Drake revealed two new surprise albums: Maid of Honor, featuring an image of his mother, and Habiti, showing a photo of a woman covered in masking tape except for her eyes. These are Drake's first solo records since his 2024 feud with rapper Kendrick Lamar, whose diss track about Drake, Not Like Us, won 5 Grammys and was performed at the Super Bowl halftime show. Emmy Award-winning journalist Segun Oduolowu here to break down Drake's album and other entertainment news. All right, so the big news of this is there's a lot of disrespect.
There's disrespect everywhere, Alex.
Who are some of the biggest disses on this whole thing?
Well, he takes some shots at Kendrick, which are veiled and subliminal, but he really says DJ Khaled by name and ties him into what was going on in the Middle East, saying that Khaled, who is Palestinian, hasn't spoken up and needs to, but, you know, jumped on the side of the people who were against him, and he didn't like that. Okay, fine, cool. But then he also talks about LeBron James. LeBron James is not a rapper. Why are you talking about LeBron James?
Well, he's mad at LeBron James because LeBron James supported Kendrick Lamar,
right?
Even though in the past Drake and him had been friends, and even he had a tattoo on his arm about LeBron James.
This is some sad boy rapping. If you are a fan of Drake, I worry for you, because these are 3 albums, to quote Rick Ross, that are mid at best.
Really?
Now,
so it's not good. The music isn't
good. The music doesn't take you anywhere.
Yeah.
Like
some of his old stuff is really good.
So I will not come on here and not say that Drake is an incredible artist. You do not get to the level of who he is and what he's accomplished without being talented. This display of 3 albums is not a display of his incredible talent. He's rehashing beefs in a way that nobody cares. He pick a fight with a rapper, like you did with Kendrick, and then you get bodied like you did. And I want everyone to go back and look at the Grammys when Kendrick won. It is a room full of artists that are singing a diss track to one of the biggest artists. That's where the fight should be. Drake should be fighting the entire industry, not the LeBron James who don't rap, not the Joe Buddens who have podcasts. Go fight the Taylor Swifts and everybody else in the room at the Grammys that were singing along with Kendrick Lamar.
Although LeBron does like to do rap lyrics on his Instagram sometimes, and he seems to have them all memorized.
When he drops an album, I'll be there.
Okay. Why this 3 album thing? There's a story behind this.
So the 3 album thing, people are speculating, is this is a smart businessman, which Drake has always been, and this is a way for him to get out of his current record deal. That's what people are saying. 3 individual albums, which finishes his UMG contract, which now could allow him to drop independently, which Kendrick has done. Kendrick has left his own and is now on his own independent label. The fight that Drake is having, and he even says it in one of his raps, I'm not fighting with I'm not battling a rapper, I'm battling the man. Like, I'm battling a record label. And this is a way of maybe getting out of the contract. We'll see.
Pretty smart. So you had to do 3 more albums. So let's do them all at one time.
Yeah, all at one time.
Here it all is. We're done.
I'm mad at Drake the businessman.
Speaking of halftime shows, we found out that there's going to be a FIFA World Cup halftime show for the first time ever in the final, which is happening in New York. Or New Jersey. Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. 3 people 3 groups you would never put together.
Yeah, not only would we never think of them to be on stage together, I don't know how Madonna factors into soccer. I don't get that. Madonna's a global star, no question. BTS as global stars, no question. Shakira, global stars.
Come on, it doesn't really matter if they're connected. I mean, how many people at the Super Bowl halftime show? You didn't have to think of Bad Bunny as a football player, and he's there. Prince wasn't a football player. He did that halftime show.
Absolutely, but they are also pop stars in an American audience. BTS, Shakira, and Madonna, when you think of the synergy for a world audience, if I'm flying in from all parts of the world, Madonna, BTS, and Shakira aren't necessarily going to move me for soccer. I can't think of the last Madonna track that had anything to do with soccer. Scoring? Yes. Madonna all the time.
But I don't know if that really matters if it's connected to soccer. It'll be interesting, though, because you think about this. this is the biggest stage in the world, bigger than the Super Bowl. And the fact that they're now doing a halftime show is interesting. How many eyeballs are going to be on it?
I would want current stars. That's all. I just would want stars with music. I know Madonna's dropped a new album.
BTS is pretty current.
They are,
huge.
But will all of the songs be in English or will it be in Korean?
Does it matter? That's going on all around the world.
It does matter to a certain extent because this is a show at the end of the day. So let the show be great. And I can't say that a BTS show is going to work for all of the soccer fans. Shakira does have a background with the World Cup and soccer.
Maybe it expands their base.
Who knows?
Okay. There are auditions going on right now for James Bond.
Yes.
They publicly announced that they're
007.
doing auditions. Amazon, MGM now in control of this franchise. We can talk about some of the names that are being talked about. The bookmaker odds: Callum Turner, Harris Dickinson, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jacob Elordi, Henry Cavill, Theo James, who of course was in White Lotus season 2. Henry Cavill was Superman before. Who do you like?
Well, the last two you can just get rid of, Henry Cavill and Theo James. They are too old by what is being said by the casting.
They're in their early 40s.
They're in their early 40s. Look. Alex, with your hair and your looks right now, you should be on that list.
I'm younger than them.
We're not going to talk about Alex's age. We're just going to talk about how good Alex looks and that he could be doing this. No, there are rules right now for the Bond. They want him to be a young actor, preferably in late 20s to early 30s, because it's a 10 to 20-year commitment to be the next James Bond. They will do a series of movies. You will have to turn down parts. They would really love Jacob Elordi because he brings all of the young fans. He is like as hot as fish grease right now with Saltburn and Wuthering Heights and Euphoria. But at the same time, he's a known commodity. And Nina Gold, who is the incredible casting director, who is a star maker. She cast Game of Thrones and gave us Kit Harington when we never heard of him, and Amelia Clarke when we didn't know who she was, and then she became Khaleesi. She, I think, would rather a lesser named actor that they can build with the franchise. It will be interesting. The leader in the clubhouse, a lot of people are saying it's Callum.
Callum Turner,
Turner,
who is also winning at life because Dua Lipa
that doesn't hurt either.
Is his girl.
He doesn't
so if you could bag her, then maybe
if you can bag Bond and Dua Lipa, you're the most
not stirred, baby.
Most deserving amongst men.
That guy is winning, as Charlie Sheen used to say.
Tiger blood, winning.
Thank you so much. Great to see you, Segun. Have a great weekend. Thank you all for watching The Story Is. I'm Elex Michaelson. We'll see you back here on Monday.